All right, welcome everyone to our partnership AMA with STF Academy. My name is Relentless. I'm here with my partner Degenic. We also have Julian up here on stage. Really excited to talk to everyone today about STF Academy and why we're so pumped to partner with them. We have JC here today, the founder of STF Academy, to tell us everything. Welcome, JC. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm genuinely excited to be here, though.
Yeah, I'm glad that we got linked up, and I'm excited for how this. So, if you want to go ahead and tell us about yourself, your background before crypto, how you got into crypto, all that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it goes without saying we do have to thank our mutual friend that introduced us, because without his involvement, none of this would have happened. And we had a pretty lengthy phone call, you and I, and I just want everybody to understand that we didn't just come up with this on the fly. We actually put some thought process into this. My background in the space, I've been in crypto since 2016. Like most of you, I got into the space for the degenerate opportunities to 100x my money in a very short amount of time. And that's because I watched when I was 20, I want to say I was 23 or 24, around 2011, 2012, my younger brother was mining BTC out of his bedroom. And at the time he was just, I think it was trading for like $13 or something along there. It was something like 13, 20 bucks right around there. And he's like, look, man, you gotta check this out. And he was explaining to me what Bitcoin was. And I just thought he was insane. I was like, what the hell are you talking about, man? So I just blew him off. And in 2016, he approached me again. It was actually 2015 Thanksgiving dinner. And he was like, hey, man, you should take a look at BTC. It's like $160 now. And I was like, what do you mean $160? And, it was crazy because to me, I couldn't just wrap my head around it. And so I blew him off again. And I started dating my now wife and mother of my child. And somewhere around summer of 2016, she was like, hey, have you looked into this Bitcoin thing? And now I took that as a sign. I'm like, okay, now that's two people that are very close to me telling me to look into this. And at the time, it was around $560 for one coin. And I was like, all right, I gotta pull the trigger on this, and I gotta get involved. And that was my first entry into crypto. My first exposure, got my Coinbase account set up. And I like to tell you that I bought a bunch of Bitcoin, but I did not. It wasn't until I didn't pull the trigger until 2017. It was like February 2017 when I watched it go from $500 to about $3,000, and I said, okay, that's enough. I saw it when it was like $13, when it was $100, it was $500. I get a $3,000. The FOMO really started to kick in, and man, thank God I got involved. Got involved with BTC, bought BNB when it IPO, at the time it was called ICOs, right? And got involved with BNB at like $1. Got involved with Tron at the ICO back in 2017. So I just picked up a bunch of altcoins, and that winter of 2017, my love for this space was validated, right? As all these tokens exploded and hit the new all-time high. And that was my first exposure into making a lot of money very, very quickly, and I was hooked. So then came the bear winter 2018. I was messing around with nodes. I was building some nodes. Master nodes back then were a real hot thing. And a buddy of mine was like, hey, what are you doing in crypto right now? I'm like, oh, I'm building master nodes. He was like, what the hell is that? And I started showing him how you could get 300% APY on a master node, and I took it to masternodes.online, and I was showing them the catalog of nodes that you could build. And at the time, people were building these things on Linux servers, and I was like, okay, cool, I'm in. So he was like, what if I get you $1 million? Could you want to build a hedge fund around it? And I was like, yeah, why wouldn't we? So we started raising money. We got a Reg D 506B license to raise funds up to $1 million from non-accredited investors, and we basically just non-solicited, right? So we couldn't reach out to anybody, but only friends and family. So we raised $1 million in friends and family and built our first hedge fund. And that was the beginning of probably one of the toughest lessons in my life, as we went through probably one of the worst winters in crypto history at the time, um, as everything just began to collapse. And that later on that summer, DeFi was sort of starting to be born, right? I'm in the DeFi channel, so I think it's proper to mention. I got a caught wind of Uniswap V1, right when Uniswap was being launched. So I started messing around with Uniswap, got involved on their airdrop in September of I believe it was 2019 when they did their airdrop. It was September 2019, September 2020. I can't remember now. I get the years mixed up, but I was involved in that airdrop, and since then I was just hooked into DeFi. And Masternode sort of faded away, and I got involved into DeFi, and I got really heavy into that. And in 2019, we decided to build an exchange, and we raised over $1.2 million to build an exchange. And as we were building the exchange, I was learning about the trading side of crypto, because I was never really interested in trading. I was all about passive income. I was like the passive income guy. Don't talk to me about trading. And as I was learning about trading, as I was learning how, liquidity market makers work in exchanges, and how these bots, front run each other, and just how the whole mechanism works from a back end, I got really passionate about trading, and I started to really master that craft. And it was around 2020 that a couple of my friends reached out to me, and they were like, dude, at that time, I stepped away from being active on a lot of those investments, just because it was very tasking. The exchange, we learned really quickly that to compete with the likes of Sam with FTX and ZZ with Binance, I mean, it was just, I mean, they just owned the space. So we got our asses handed to us. And that was really our first exposure at a big loss, because we just didn't have enough money to compete with creating the deep pools that these guys had. I mean, they have 600-700 pairs with, $5-10 million of liquidity in each one of them. And we were struggling to put, 10 grand worth of liquidity into 30 pairs. So it was very humbling to raise that much money, build it, and then, learn that we needed to pivot to be competitive in the space. So we pivoted, and we started to build Eons.finance, which was a DeFi protocol on the Polygon network, with a banking sort of onboarding, offboarding type of experience with debit cards. And it's a long-winded way of saying that I everything that led to building STF Academy was just years and years and years and hours and hours. I mean, I kid you not, I probably put over at least 15,000 hours into this space. I mean, working 13, 14-hour days for months and months at a time, getting burnt out, giving up, coming back. So it was just very interesting, the experience that led to creating STF. And in 2020, a buddy of mine reached out to me. He was like, hey, dude, like, you got all this knowledge. Why don't you just teach people this stuff? So many people want to learn how to navigate this space. And that was, I never wanted to teach. It wasn't in I'm not a teacher. My background is not in teaching. My background is in finance. I was a business banker for half a decade. And prior to that, I was just a normal banker for another half a decade. So it just, all I ever been around was banking. I was not around teaching or education or anything like that. So I put together a couple PowerPoint slides, and I invited 12 of my friends to come on a Zoom with me for 2 hours a day, for 4 weeks. So 4 days out of the week, 4 days out of the week, 2 hours a day, Monday through Thursday, they will come on 2 hours at a time. And I would just teach them live on Zoom how to onboard, fiat onto crypto, how to create smart contracts, with liquidity provisioning, how to, just mess around with AMMs, yield aggregators, just sort of providing liquidity in DeFi, right? And how to navigate the space. And then I started teaching them how to trade perpetual contracts. At the time, it was on Binance. And 12 told one person, and the next month it was sold out. Like 12 people showed up again, and we started charging for it. And after that, it was like every month it was sold out. I had to turn people away. And my friends were like, dude, why don't you just put all this stuff, all this content, just create a production value of it, and then just put it for so people can have access to it and learn. And that was the beginning of STF Academy officially. Since then, we've had over nearly 500 people join our program. Over 140 some odd people have gone through the entire experience. Six of them have actually become instructors now for the academy. People have had immense amount of success. People have some immense failures and lessons that they've learned in the space. As anyone listening on this probably has experienced rug pulls and scams, right? We weren't immune to it, but what really set us apart was that we created a controlled environment where we just controlled a lot of that gambling mentality. And it was just like, look, you can gamble all you want, but don't drag us all into your experiments. So we shunned a lot of away from like the degenerate stuff, and we just told people, hey, look, you can still get 80% APY, 100% APY. You can still 10x your money without having to gamble away, and take a mass amount of. But that's just the banker in me. So that resonated well with folks. A lot of people survived the bear market. A lot of people stayed around and really appreciated what the space stood for. And that's really what shaped our community to become now what it has become.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Winded answer.
No, I mean that's awesome. I mean, we asked for your background. We got a great background. That's kind of what we're so excited about is what you've done in a bear market here and managed to and teach them the right way, and teach people to approach things differently as all of DeFi hopes to move to sustainable profits sustainably and stay in it for the long haul, right? And people are realizing that we have from this moonshot mentality, DeFi summer is over, right? And especially with some of the way that things are changing. I was so excited about when we got linked up is that you are providing a structured and teaching people the right way. And so I'm really pumped about that. And I started it the other night. I'm getting through the education videos first, a lot of the those initial things, and I'm looking forward to actually progressing into trading course because I've seen some of the results. So now that we have background, tell us about the structure of your course, so the viewer, why they would want to join, and how it's going to build on itself as it progresses.
Right. I mean, understand this, like we do have a course that you can purchase, but the goal is to onboard folks into crypto, right? So we offer around 6.5, 7 hours or so of just free educational content that's extremely valuable. It's not like like this is what Bitcoin is, it's like, this is how you onboard money. This is why you do it this way. Then we talk about DeFi protocols. We talk about, lending, becoming your own bank. And we give you about 6.5 hours of what it would be like to actually go through the entire experience with STF. But it gives you enough that you go, okay, I get it. And I understand now why I need to do things the way that I need to do them. So there's free, just for joining STF Academy, there's free content that you have access to. So you don't have to become, you don't have to purchase the content if you don't want to. People sometimes hear dollar signs and expenses instead of investment, but there's a lot of value that you get just for getting started in the community. Now, if you decide to go on this wealth building journey, right, which is what we sort of focus on, is taking you through an immersive experience that's not 3 months long, but 3 to 10 years long, right? So we want to give you the skills so you can actually become a proficient market participant and not just go out there and just gamble away your life savings, right? So the courses are structured to take someone from an intro course, take them to that process, learning, cold wallets, hard wallets, teaching them how to onboard money, how to offboard, on ramps, off ramps, and then it takes them through why the blockchain, how does it work, and then it progresses them to DeFi, right? And it introduces them how to source the right projects in DeFi, how to look for proper liquidity, how to look for, team, ownership, and who's behind the teams, and how to vet and dox, developers and things along those lines. So we talk about these things on the very first lesson, of course, too, and then it progresses into providing liquidity, AMMs, yield aggregators, and all those things. And then it culminates with course 3 into learning how to trade perpetual futures contracts. And that is sort of like our bread and butter, because it's what most people gravitate to for the initial cash flow opportunity, right? Because you can start to trade, and we do trading in a control stage environment where we use an in-house formula that we built called the Formula for Success, and everybody calls it FFS for short. And the FFS is a formula that basically spits out your ideal trade size for a futures contract based on the volatility of the asset and your wallet balance. So you never over leverage yourself, and you never put your account in a situation where it can get liquidated in one trade. So the parameters are set so you can either win 3.5% to 4%, or you can lose 2.5% to 3%. So the most you can lose is 3%. The most you can win is about 5% if you do it on the most conservative settings. And you can play around with the settings, and you can see what's riskier, what's less riskier based on the volatility of the asset. But we introduce that to our students, so they have at least a more conservative approach to trading perpetual futures. Because if you ever traded any perpetual contracts here, you have been liquidated at some point. I don't care who you are. It doesn't matter. I've been liquidated. The best traders in the planet have been liquidated. So we try to minimize that initial shock exposure to the marketplace, right, by giving you a controlled environment in which you can progress on. And the idea is to allow our students to get as much repetition in trades as possible. So they don't just trade 3 times, get liquidated, and go, screw it, I quit. Right? They can get in 50, 70, 100 trades, 200 trades, and really do it in a manner where they can actually improve their skills, because it takes time to learn. And then above and beyond that, once they graduate, we do live courses, live trainings, live sessions every day at 9 a.m. We do a half hour, 15 to 30 minutes worth of market analysis live, and we place a trade real time while we're doing it, if it's available. And then we do Saturday Zooms where we do an hour of trading, an hour of DeFi. And then also we have our instructors now that do content on Monday mornings, Wednesday nights, and Sunday evenings as well. So everything in STF, prior to the next phase, which is when we launch our DAO and our token, and we begin to democratize everything and decentralize how our content is distributed, which is phase 2 of our program. Phase 1 is content creation. Phase 2 is decentralized distribution and monetization. So as we get ready to start phase 2, phase 1 is really where we are right now, and we're just focused on promoting from within and growing the community from within.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to startup too. So I should have, I'm gonna circle back just a little bit. I should overview here. I guess it's still a good time so everyone in the audience. The reason that we're teaming up here with STF Academy is, server used to be really focused on tomb forks during the height of all that run. When everybody was making a ton of money, you got rugged a couple of times because the next 2 times you'd 100x. And so we came on and decided we needed a new path forward, a state of the market and the way the DeFi was going in general. So we decided, yes, we do need to highlight up and coming opportunities, new projects, and do thorough vetting, ask the hard questions. to give people the information that they need on whether or not own decision, right? We don't provide financial advice here, but just to ask the hard and right questions and they needed to know before they invested and, let their degen side out. And then on top, we realized that in order to give people the information that they needed at that level, we needed to make sure that our community was afforded the opportunity to get the education that they needed. You go in a server and there's people, where do I find this? Where do I find this? How do I do this? I got linked up with JC here, and it was the perfect opportunity to provide that first tier that we're trying to achieve here of education, right? So especially during this time in a market where it's an opportunity for everyone to go through here and learn and refine their skills or develop new ones, they have an education series that they give everyone the basics, and then they have this well-structured and thorough course that teaches people how to read charts, how to trade properly, so they have a thorough understanding of what they're doing, and then they have that basic understanding will allow read between the lines on a lot of this stuff within these projects and these white papers, which we all know can be difficult to read, especially when you're brand new. This stuff can seem really overwhelming. And then the third tier of what we're is talk to the established teams who are really driving the future of DeFi. Earlier, we hosted Synthetics for an AMA. Matt from Synthetics, we on tomorrow. I'm in talks with a couple other established teams. I won't put any out there. There's actually in this chat right now that I've reached out to about an AMA that I'm looking forward to the launch of his project, giving that opportunity to everybody. But we're trying to get the best education possible is for people to still make money, and then also the base or the advanced and high level to drive people forward so they can understand, all right, I know what I'm doing and I know what I'm looking at with this project, but project that I'm thinking about investing in fitting into the future narrative of how things are progressing. All right, so that's what we're trying to do, and that's why we're here with JC, because he had a course and the education series that we think is going to be instrumental to people, and they're doing things with honesty and integrity, transparency, and they're really trying to base an entire trading company here around the theme that we all care, realization and transparency and trust. So I just want to make sure I gave a little background there. I probably should have threw that in at the beginning, but yeah.
No, I mean, I'm happy you said that, because we're focused on doing the things that most communities aren't really excited about doing, and that's getting people started on the basic foundations, right? So a lot of the common questions that we get is like, oh, hey, how do I move my funds from one network to another network? Oh, I moved Ethereum, or I moved Matic. I thought I had it in my Matic wallet, but it's showing on my Ethereum wallet. Why is that? Right? So we do all that sort of heavy lifting in the beginning, where you may come to an established channel, like I used to go to, these channels back in the day, and people are like, yeah, I go here and swap it and purchase it, and you're like, what? How do I get money into my MetaMask wallet? And nobody wants to bother with that stuff, because they're like, dude, you should already know that if you're in here, type of mentality. So, and it's a lot of like technical Q&A and a lot of like hand holding stuff that most people don't want to, you don't want to spend time doing, because there's no incentive for you to do it. So we focus on doing a lot of that heavy lifting, right? Getting people started, getting people to understand how to get money, onboard money into MetaMask, and do all those things, so that when a call is placed or when an AMA is done, they can take action immediately, and they know exactly where to go and what to do, instead of being lost, amongst the noise, right?
Absolutely. And before I turn this over to Degenic has some questions. He's my partner here who wants to ask you. I think that hopefully, as we start to do things like this, that spread the mindset that, some people view it as, oh, I don't have time to teach this guy stuff. But if you teach that guy something and you show them the right way, that's a potential future investor that you're
Mm-hmm.
interested in, right? As opposed to what we do now, which is like, I don't have time for you. Well, you just shunned people away from maybe DeFi as a whole, or maybe just your project and investors. And so I'm hoping that, as we do this, that we can transform people's mindsets and they'll start to, even if they don't have time to teach them themselves, they'll be like, hey, I care, I want you to be educated. I do want you to, potentially invest in this project because I believe in this project. Why don't you go here first and go and then come and look at our project after? So I think that, this could really have a lot of cascading effects if done the right way.
Absolutely.
All right, Dejanic, you wrote some questions in here that I know you want to ask.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I'm curious, JC, do you cover the emotional and psychological aspects of trading in the course as well?
Absolutely. That's so funny you said that. I don't think I'd be doing people justice if I didn't go over that during my uh, during my educational side, because if there is so much, one of the worst things that can happen to a human being, one of the best things and worst things that can happen to a human being is to make a lot of money in a very short amount of time. Um, to me, one of the greatest feelings that I ever had was when I made six figures in one day and like tangibly cashed out, had six figures in 24 hours. I opened a Matic trade when when it was like 13 cents. It pumped to like 30 cents, and I went all in. I had like 300,000 tokens, so I made 100 grand in like 24 hours. That was one of the most exhilarating feelings ever. You know what was not exhilarating is when I decided to short Dogecoin, and I lost $75,000 in 45 minutes. So, the type of emotions that you go through when you make a lot of money and you lose a lot of money in a very short amount of time, I mean, can really break a person. One, because one of the things that I talk about is the emotional highs that come with having all this money suddenly in your hands, and the future plans that you begin to make with it, right? You start to plan all the debts you're gonna pay off, and the maybe you're gonna pay off your mortgage, maybe you're gonna pay off your cars, and you start to make all these plans with this money that's not yet in your bank account, and then you make a mistake because of greed, right? Because greed starts once you make a lot of money, greed immediately takes over. It's like an undeniable feeling that takes over. You just can't stop. It's like being in Vegas on a hot roll, and you lose it all. And when you lose it all, you realize you sober up. It's such a sobering feeling. Immediately, you sober up, and you start to feel sick to your stomach. You get that knot in your stomach, like you just made one of the worst decisions you probably should have made in your life, and that emotional roller coaster. The second one is so bad for people that I seen people spiral into depression. I seen people obviously leave the space forever and never come back. But I seen people literally do things that they were just very uncharacteristic of them. So that's one of the first things. Actually, is lesson one of the trading course. I spent a good chunk of the lesson speaking about euphoria and and disbelief and what those emotions feel like. And we actually have one instructor that he has a show on Sunday nights at 7 p.m. called the sound trader's heart, where he literally trades live on screen. He's like trading right there with you, and he is explaining the emotions that he's going through as he's placing these trades, and he'll go over trades that he has open, and he'll talk about that as well. So yeah, we definitely addressed that because it's a major part of the space, especially if you've been rug pulled and you get you know what that feels like.
Oh yeah, many rug pulls around here. Yeah, and great answer. I think that I love that you're also showing people someone doing it live. That's cool and a rare opportunity to have in a more intimate setting than a YouTube.
Yeah, it's there's so much like in crypto will expose the best part of you, and then will expose the worst part of you, right? It just depends really on what side of the trade you were on. And it's just very interesting over the years to see the psychology. And I'm sure you saw it in your Discord during DeFi summer. It was very active in here, like probably 300-400 messages every hour. Like it was just packed, and then all of a sudden, a year later, it's like crickets, right? It's like here and there. Maybe you had 40% of the people that acted, 50% of the people that acted, like they no longer show up. You don't hear from them again. I'm no stranger to that in our channel and throughout the communities. You see it. I mean, I'm literally a member of like 80 plus Discord channels in here. And it's just like that. It's people just sort of quit and they spiral out, into depression. They don't come back. They're like, screw this. And it's really just if you're not mentally prepared for that, if you don't understand how to dissociate your emotions from money and just look at money as numbers on a screen, as long as you have some sort of emotional attachment to money, this is going to be it can be a very rewarding journey, but it can be a very difficult journey.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. And Julian has a great question in chat that I'll ask. He asks, crypto allows for everyone to be a trader with greed, fear, and everything that comes with it. Do you think all people can really be traders?
Look, can all people do it? Yes. Should all people do it? No. Right? Anyone can learn. Right? Anyone can learn how to read a chart. Anyone can learn how to push a green and red button, long or short. Like that is not the difficult part. The how is not the question, right? The question is the why. Right? Why do you want to do it? Right? What's the real reason you want to pursue this, right? What is the underlying passion because to be good at anything, you have to pour everything into it. You can't half-ass being a trader and think you're going to be a great trader. Just like you can't half-ass being an investor and think you're going to be a great investor. Whatever, like the reason why I am where I am today is because I pour everything that I had into what I was doing, and that's the reason why I succeeded. So can anyone do it? Yes. Should they do it? It really just depends on how much of themselves they're willing to pour into it, right?
Yeah, good question, good answer. So I'm curious. So you sounds like you have quite a bit of experience both in centralized finance and in decentralized finance. So in light of the plans to go decentralized in phase 2, do you focus on trading within DeFi primarily, or do you cover CeFi as well?
One of the things that we're going to build that's a really great question, right? There's a legislature side of the space that puts a lot of limitations, right? The regulations and the SEC and the FTC dealing with these guys. There you have to have sort of like a happy medium. I would say you can't go all in one or the other. I believe one because you'll lose one audience. Like if you go all into CeFi, right, and just control everything, you'll lose the people that want that decentralization, anonymity aspect. And if you go fully anonymous and you go to that extreme, then you'll lose the ability to have real institutional players and real money come into the space, because they'll always be hesitant of not trusting the core foundation of the protocol. So our goal is to find that happy medium, and we're gonna have certain barriers of entry where you will have to, because of the nature that we're in, you will have a centralized experience in some aspects when it comes to going deeper into our ecosystem. Like one of the things that we want to do is we're going to launch our own exchange, right? So I've been in the exchange, trying to build the exchange for a long time, and as an investor, and as the COO of our previous project. And one of the things that I'm heavy on is having our own internal exchange. So we're gonna launch a perpetual contracts exchange inside of our company, and we're gonna tax some of the wins to provide liquidity for our own internal token. So as people learn, think about the experience, right? As people learn to trade from myself, from my other instructors, we go in and we trade collectively let's say 300-400 people are trading that morning, and all of us win, a $500 trade. Now you have, let's say, 150 grand worth of wins. Let's say you tax 5% of that. $7,500 worth of liquidity just go to the pool off of one trade that the community won as a whole. And you do that obviously with high liquid pairs on major exchanges. You don't do that with, like, low liquidity pairs on a DeFi exchange, because you're going to pump the token through the moon and people are going to get wrecked. So you do that on a perpetual platform, and we found one perpetual platform that actually has no slippage. No matter how much you try to pump it, it doesn't increase the value. The value stays the same as it is on all the spot exchanges. So you can't pump the token in the exchange. Is what I'm trying to say. No matter how much money you put into it, it stays following the price. So it has a really, really deep liquidity protocol, and so we're going to partner with them. I've been in talks with them for like 6 months now. So we're going to partner with them, and we're going to build a perpetual platform inside of STF, as well as a DeFi protocol, so that people can provide liquidity to our own token through our liquidity provisioning, either with a USDT pair or some stablecoin pair. So people are going to have the ability to do both inside of our community. They're going to be able to grow with our community, work on their skill set, provide liquidity for a decentralized, not a decentralized pool, but a pool inside of our company. And that pool is going to gain liquidity from the courses that people purchase, from the monthly subscription that's going to go active in January, from one-on-one masterminds with the instructors, and every time that we win a trade as a community, even including our bots, as our bots are placing trades and winning trades, we'll take 5%. I mean, that's just don't quote me on that number. That's the number that's up in the air. But we'll take a percentage of the wins, and we'll use that liquidity to keep furthering strengthening the liquidity of our own token inside of our pool. So sort of creating a self-perpetual ecosystem where the liquidity is created from the success of the program and the growth of the program, rather than the punsonomics of it, right? Rather than how much money people are just throwing into it.
Yeah, that's a cool way, right, to return value to DAO members or holders.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm glad you think so, because you're in the space. So if you get it, I get that. I know that we're on the right track.
Yeah, no, well explained. Makes sense. All right, Relentless, I'll turn it back over to you.
Sorry about that. I'm operating on my phone because I got to get a dinner for upstairs. I got this high-speed K fiber Wi-Fi, and then it can't reach upstairs. Well, I don't know. So anyways, all right. So you mentioned previously graduating to instructor roles and becoming content creators. So what's the path for that? How many successfully able to do that?
Well, right now we've had six graduates that went on to master a specific area of the space that we deem worthy for them to actually go on and teach others, right? So right now the process, the sorting process is done internally through the executive team. As we begin to decentralize and democratize the way that our ecosystem operates, then it's actually built, but it's not instilled yet. There's going to be essentially a value accreditation course that you have to complete once you graduate in a specific area in which you want to teach. And once you complete that, then you'll go into sort of a community probational period where you can create content for the community, and the community will decide whether you are worthy of becoming an instructor or not. And as the community upvotes or downvotes your content, you'll know whether your content is good enough. And if if the community does upvote you and allows you to become an instructor, then now your content is credited and can stay on the platform and can be monetized by future audiences. So the way that people grow in our ecosystem is going to be fully democratized, and our community is going to decide whether you are worthy enough to be an instructor or not.
Yeah, so you're going full decentralization with all of it.
Yes, the idea of STF is for JC to become insignificant to it. I'm not see like people often try to throw me like in the whole, do you want to be like Grant Cardone, or do you want to be like Justin Sun, or do you want to be? I don't want to be a public persona like that. That's not my goal in this space. Um, I want to be more like Satoshi. Like I want to build this stuff, get it to a point where it's sustainably grows on its own, and then I sort of want to just fade into the night and enjoy my life with family, and watch raise my daughters, and just enjoy life. I don't want to be grinding, 40, 50 years. Like that's just not what I want to do. I want to give people the ability to, to utilize our platform to go from zero to hero, right? Because once our platform is fully built, and democratized and decentralized, and nobody can come in that had no chance in life of doing anything great, and they can put their foot down here, stamp their flag. This space is so ginormous. We could have 200 instructors teaching stuff, and it will still not cover all the protocols in this space. Like it's just there's so much in this space to learn, and so many opportunities, so many different protocols. I mean, you can have an instructor for every chain that exists in crypto right now, and we'll probably need like 150 instructors. So that's the thing. There's so much opportunity for someone to come, sort of plant their stake in the ground and say, I'm going to be an expert at this, and I'm going to build my audience inside of STF Academy, and one day I'm going to have 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 people following every call that I make in STF, every trade that I place, every token that I buy, and they're going to be able to, to pursue me. And then once we take this and we start to do live events, and you can meet some of these personas in real life, and you can attend our conferences, and there's 10,000 people in our conferences, and you have our instructors hit the stage, and you get to meet these folks in real life. It just creates an incredible experience where a decentralized community can actually come live and meet in person a couple of times out of the year, and actually shake people's hands, and you can see who they are, and meet them. So I'm taking my experience. I mean, I've been in the personal development industry for quite some time as well. So I want to take all these facets from all these industries and just blend them together to create sort of like the ultimate immersive experience when it comes to building wealth and just reinventing yourself, period, through the space, I should say.
Yeah, I think that's phenomenal. That's what a lot of people, I mean, even a lot of people who have been in this for a while and are experts in a couple little things, right, are really looking to branch out and become well, they need to be with the way that things are going, and the new things that are coming, and just all the different integrations and things that are happening. It's going to take a whole wealth of knowledge to be successful in a lot of things. So what is your overall goal? What are the long-term goals for the course? What reach achieve? Like how many people do you hope to be having instruct, in numbers in mind like that, or how big you're trying to grow?
That's a great question, right? I know that I have limitations as a professional, as a human being. There's certain things that I can do, and there's certain things that I can't do, right? And I understand my limitations. So there's going to be a point in time where I'm not going to be proficient enough to get us to that next phase. Where that is along the process, I don't know. Now, I have a 10-year plan where I have projections where our community has scaled, and our ecosystem has scaled to about 3.5 million users or so in 10 years. And that's sort of a conservative number, based on like using our current algorithm that we have for referrals, right? So how people are referring us and how people are learning about us. So in 10 years, I do believe we can have around 3 million customers that are part of our ecosystem. And from there, we have to account for maybe having anywhere between 800 to 1,000 active instructors, maybe around 2 to 3,000 total in our community. but about 800 or so that are actively, all the time, working. And that, I mean, that number could sway. And we could have 5,000 instructors, 10,000 instructors, and 5 million people. I don't know. The way we're going to build the platform is so that it is scalable, sort of like a YouTube channel, like a YouTube platform is, right? There's no real limitations on it. It's just a matter of utilization, really.
Yeah, that makes sense. So in the organization, right, and with those numbers, what other sectors are you hoping that STF can grow into? Like, are you eventually have experts come teach Web3, right, and integrate that with how imperative that's going to be, and other things like that?
Right. There's not going to be any real. I mean, look, we are a crypto centric community, right? So we're not going to ever have like, real estate, for example, unless it's like real estate related to crypto, right? We're not going to teach people how to become realtors. We're not going to teach people. Um, we're going to probably stay away from like equities and forex and stocks and things like that. We're going to focus on what made us special and stick to crypto. But there's a lot of flexibility in that. People can, I know for sure we'll have developers that come on board that eventually want to teach people how to, how to write code and how to write smart contracts and on whatever chain is the most relevant chain, 3, 4, 5 years from now. So I do foresee the program scaling beyond just trading and DeFi education to actually onboarding and creating, new developers and onboarding and creating new, back end developers and builders for the industry. There's no limitations because the only limitation is really what our content creators are willing to do and not do. So we're going to give them the templates, we're going to give them the foundation. It's up to them to provide the content.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I think and so many different things are going to open up as this space progresses. So I'm excited to watch it and be a part of it, and learn from you guys as well. So that kind of wraps up the questions that we had. If anybody who's listening, if you want to speak, most people are server muted right now. So if you have time, JC, take some community questions. If anybody's got them, feel free to unmute and ask what you got.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody that wants to ask them, that's what we're here. It is called a Ask Me Anything, so.
Yeah, you always wondered just what extreme. All right, Mixed Wizard, what you got?
Yeah, I'll come on and ask something. You said one thing, JCI, that stood out to me the most in particular, and I'm going to move to a little bit more of a quiet space. Sorry about that, guys. So one of the things that I like the most about this AMA so far is that one, you have your camera on. That is something that in the past week of me working in this space that I haven't seen from anyone, right? Like literally anyone. I am new to the space because I'm trying to find things out here that might be mutually beneficial to my business and the growing of my knowledge in the space. But what are your plans as far as the whole anonymity piece of this and mixing your business with things that deal with fiat money or US dollars?
Right. So that's always, look, the ethos of crypto is very. I'm no stranger to the reason why Bitcoin was created, right? And the purpose behind the anonymity and privacy. And look, I mean, the industry has evolved, right? There's going to be two types of players in this space. There's going to be those who want to be doxxed and are willing to say, hey, look, this is who we are, this is what we do, this is the service that we provide. We might not appeal to you, right? If you want to be anonymous and you want to stay off the grid, we might not appeal to you, but we will appeal to those who want a familiar face or who want someone to be held accountable, right? Because I've been, look, as much as I enjoy the crypto, I got tired of being rug pulled and have no idea who to point the finger to. Like, I don't care how much you believe in the libertarian beliefs of, and power to the people and all these things. That's great if there were no bad actors in the world, but this space is riddled with bad actors.
Oh
So
yeah.
who do you trust, right? Who do you trust if you're not willing to come on camera and show your face? To me, that tells me that you're afraid.
Yep. No,
Because you're
you
either
you are nailing it 100%. That is exactly. And I think this whole conversation, I've heard people talk about why be standoffish about this or why be standoffish about that. And there are things that come up every now and again about the bad players in the game, and I totally understand that. And you just nailed it. I mean, me being as new as I am, have come in here and sat in these AMAs, and I've been looking for that one thing that I can latch onto because coming from a conventional US dollars business, the crypto space to me has been this really dangerous thing that could be awesome. Like you said earlier, you can make a lot of money in a short period of time. But on the flip side of that, you can also try for months to make any money and lose a lot of money, or make a lot and then lose a whole lot. So seeing a face on here of someone who's not afraid to come out and say, look, I've got my head wrapped around this. This is what we're doing. I'm confident in it and I can explain it fully has really stood out to me. Sorry, I mean my questions may be a little bit dumbed down due to my newness to the space, but thanks for answering.
Yeah, look, I have an immense amount of respect for the people that are building this space. I never want to step into anybody's toes. And like if some people really truly believe in what they're building, in the that libertarian belief of, hey, look, power to the people, and we want to stay away from centralization, and we want to give ownership of finances to the folks, and those people that are doing it the right way have all my respect, right? I'm just The bad actors are the ones that obviously give the bad industry. And for every 99 good people, one bad person ruins the experience of the other 99, right?
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah.
and that's the issue with the space. So, look, yes, yes, my platform is more about, look, we're an educational platform. Like, there's no reason for me to be anonymous. There's no reason for me to hide. Like, we're not providing financial advice. We don't do that. We're just educating you on the space, the same way that you would go to a school and learn. You're just learning from a community. So because of that, I mean, that's why I'm so forward about saying, hey, look, this is who I am. Please don't do anything bad to me. I didn't mean to step on your toes. If anything, I'm trying to make you money.
Right. Yeah, no, that makes sense for sure. That makes sense for sure. Um, yeah, awesome. Thanks.
Not a problem. All right, listen, I know we're coming on the top of the hour. I really do appreciate you guys giving me the time and the stage to speak to your community, and I'm excited for what can come from it. Does anyone have any questions before we get off?
I don't really care what it is. That's the only thing on the cruise.
No. I think people just accidentally unmuting themselves.
Yeah,
Well,
hey, I hate to be that guy, JCI, but I do want to point out the second thing that has made this AMA stand out to me. So you also brought up an exchange, that you were really big on an exchange being a part of STF Academy. That is the other thing that no one ever wants to talk about. So to have that brought up and explained in such depth was really nice also.
oh yeah, thank you. I mean, it's that was a really tough learning experience. One of the things that to have an exchange, that's the other part, right? To have an exchange in a Web3 space, it's a very delicate threat, because Web3 promotes anonymity and promotes self custody, right? So connecting your MetaMask, right, and interacting from your MetaMask directly with a protocol. So that makes it a little tricky, right, to for someone that wants to participate in a Web3 but coming through our platform. We have to appease to regulators, because if not, we'll get sued to the end of the day, and we'll get shut down, and we'll never be able to accomplish anything,
Right.
because we'll be so bogged down with lawsuits and just litigation that we'll never get anywhere. So we will have to probably KYC folks to a certain extent, and we'll have to play by those rules. But just obviously understand that when you come to our program, you're coming to learn, and you're coming to do it in a controlled environment, right? So that's the idea. If you want to exit the environment and then go be, degenerate gambler outside of the platform and 100x and go, try to 10x your money or wreck your account in 5 minutes, you can do that. You just won't be able to do it in our platform. All right. So, and we have to do that to, to not only to protect you, but to protect ourselves. Right. So, yeah, it's gonna be a very interesting line as we go and begin to attempt to build this and build an exchange, because that they are under heavy scrutiny. Binance is under heavy scrutiny, FTX is under heavy scrutiny, and we haven't seen the end of these major regulators coming after these platforms because I mean, I'm telling you, it's just we're just warming up. Like once the U.S. decides to get really heavy on crypto, they're gonna come down hard on all these exchanges. Like they're gonna come down hard on all these exchanges. So it's gonna be very interesting what the landscape looks like in the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, and what's your timeline looking like for the exchange? Is it functional or what?
Well, we're going to utilize sort of a white label product, right? In a Web3 white label product, so it's fully customizable. It's easy to integrate. So I don't want to spend millions of dollars building an exchange from scratch. I've already attempted it. It's not worth it. I'd rather leverage someone who already put all that money in infrastructure and just give them their fair share. So for us, we're going to flat out integrate something that already exists, that has been tested and has proven to have success. Now this company's been around for the last 2 years, so once we integrate them, we'll probably be about their third year in business, and by then I'll feel more confident as to their capabilities long term. But they built everything to run on Web3 and to run sort of open source. Um, so yeah, like I said, it's a learning experience still, but it would definitely be sort of plug and play for our team to do this. We're not going to build it from scratch, so it'll be fairly quick to implement.